Is Bitcoin really bearish? In yesterday's video, we spoke about the likelihood for a short-term pullback, but overall the higher-term timeframes remained bullish. And in this case, we have gotten our pullback to that 5 exponential moving average on the weekly time frame here. And the focus of today is what to expect next. What to expect next? What do these statistics say? And what essentially should we be looking for over the next 2 to 3 weeks from this moment in time is going to be the big focus. And just like yesterday, or really the few days prior, it seems like, and I really hate this sort of terminology, but everyone's bullish. But there was a general feeling, especially on the social media venues, of just overall positiveness. And in this case, after Bitcoin plays out about a $3,000 rejection, now people are scared. It's a rejection back down to 50,000 or 59,000 or 60,000 or whatever the fuck it might be. But in this case, I do think that a bit more of a nuanced approach should be applied here. So first things first, yes, indeed, I would essentially consider this a test of that red 5 exponential moving average on the weekly time frame. Of course, it is going to move around depending upon where the week does close. So if you do recall from yesterday when Bitcoin was trading about 69,000 bucks, the 5 exponential was actually pretty much around where the current low price is right now, 66,500 bucks. That's why we were saying, hey, yesterday, this would be a good area. This would be a good area. Not necessarily saying Bitcoin has to come down here, but if it does, that's where you kind of expect a pullback, and that's where you would expect at least a bounce attempt and likely continuation if things are going to end up bullish. So I do want to remind myself that, as we kind of approach the explosion of this, or I should say the resolution of this whole consolidation that Bitcoin's been in for the last 7 months, volatility has been very, very low. We've been kind of inundated and given a false sense of security as to how boring things kind of are, when realistically, when things are actually breaking out, you do expect multi-$1,000 swings both ways, and it doesn't really mean all that much. What matters is trend. The trend is your friend, and in this case, the trend is to the upside as long as Bitcoin's above October lows. That's just as simple as it gets. And I'd even go as far to say that, hey, as long as Bitcoin's above, let's call it 66,000 bucks on at least a daily time frame, all pullbacks are just that, pullbacks. Moving into some daily statistics right here, and then we'll get into the fun stuff. But Tuesday actually has been more weighted in favor of negative closing days than positive closing days. We're talking about 57% versus almost 43% negative versus positive, respectively. But what's interesting about Tuesday is that Tuesday has the highest negative return out of any weekday at over 2.5%. Now we do have the ranges on price action given right here to the upside. Likely a high somewhere around about 68.6 to 68.7, and if Bitcoin were to take another tumble to the downside, perhaps as low as 65,700, playing out those average ranges. I do suspect that Bitcoin probably does actually test the top side of this range. Just like yesterday, we said, hey, Bitcoin probably tests the bottom side of this range. In fact, it found its way exactly to there. I'd be saying the same thing for today, except on the opposite side. Just, probably plays out the upside. Maybe not today, maybe tomorrow, but overall, that's likely the range for today. Moving on from there, I do want to get into the 5-day time frame because I think it just really accurately summarizes my thoughts on price action. Look, again, as we went over in yesterday's video, Bitcoin coming back down to the 5-day median on spot price action. You'd expect a bounce there, and you expect a reconnect there as well. Just like you get reconnects over here with the moving average that happen almost always. Not always, but almost always. And anytime that you do get a closure that is away from it, it quickly reverts within a closure or two afterwards. And price really doesn't move all that much. You can see a good example right here where my cursor is currently at. Other than that, it just does not happen that often. And like I said, again, when it does happen, price actually doesn't move that much until you do get the reconnect yet again. Just a weird thing that you've noticed out there. Anyways, in this case, the 5-day really suggesting some further upside interest. Again, as long as Bitcoin's above that median, which is officially on the 5-day at 66,200, so very much in alignment with that weekly 5 exponential as well. Have to be looking up and to the right from here. At least that's the way that I interpret this, especially with the way that also is down here are looking. But, at some point, Bitcoin is a very likely to test the 38.2 level right here, the top side of it. Now that can obviously move as we get new closures, but we just got a new closure as of last night, and right now it is pretty much around the prior all-time high. So I do expect that Bitcoin will very likely get a move somewhere around there. Maybe not necessarily in this next 5-day period, but the next I would say 10 to 15 days, the next 2 to 3 periods, very likely we do get a move somewhere right around there, which actually lines up incredibly well with our statistics for November, which we spoke about over this past weekend. In fact, speaking of statistics, I would like to come back over here to reference the October monthly statistics. Again, remembering that October is one of the most likely months to close positively for Bitcoin, with over 78.5% of all Octobers. Did I say November? I meant October. October's closing positively. With a pretty high average return as well. In fact, I even went a little bit deeper here just to calculate the median as well, just to see like, are these around each other or is there a big discrepancy? And we can actually see that the median for the win returns is almost bang on. It's almost spot on with each other at 28.5%. So, putting that into context right here, actually, let's go to this chart. Thus far, this month has done what? This month from open to current price is 7.5%, which would actually be among the lowest. It'd be the second lowest positive return we've ever seen for in October. Again, shouldn't get too greedy, of course, but it would, as of right now, be a bit on the outlier side. On top of that, Bitcoin October highs, again, we do expect that high to come in around the 21st day of October, which actually was yesterday. But when we parse through that data and differentiate between macro uptrends versus macro downtrends, we get rid of this outlier right here. We can see that high of October typically comes in closer to the end of the 3rd week of October, closer to the beginning of the 4th week, I should say. So, still more likely tries a little bit of an upside move before the month is over. And then November, as we went over on the weekend, well, maybe I'll save this for another video, but very similar there as well, in the sense that, probably going to be an upside month. Going back on over here and just referencing the new 5-day stochastic momentum pivot, because again, there was a new closure last night. We do see that it remains to the upside, now getting into the critical zone here, which is where we do expect to get during strong moves, especially breakout moves. I'll mark off the last few times we even saw this. So, whoops. Okay, got too many damn things going on here. My apologies, but boom, boom, boom. Let's just see. I actually did not already backtest this myself, so maybe this fails spectacularly. But yeah, big breakout right here, big breakout right here, small breakout. And this one, I would say, is more of a failure, although it did get continuation later. And then if we go back further than that, boom, this one right here, again, big move after a little bit of a short-term correction. And then, of course, in cycles prior, just straight fucking up. So, in this case, we can see that the 5-day pivot is now 63,200. So again, like, we do expect it to get this high during potential breakouts, especially with volatility actually expanding now officially, really off those lows. I mean, it kind of has been for a while, but it's really looking like it's actually mature enough to be ready for a legitimate breakout here. So yeah. On top of that, or do I have anything else? Yeah, we still got this 5-day setup. Of course, we do expect Bitcoin to respect this one on the 5-day time frame, as long, assuming that we are going to get one of those major moves. This is a strategy that is designed to catch major moves. Not that every entry in it is going to be a major move, but whenever you do get a major move, it begins and ends with a closure above and below that red 5 exponential moving average on the 5-day time frame, with these statistics in mind over here. Again, if we just actually look at data from 2018 to current times rather than the full data, because that's going to be massively astronomical, we can see that the average winning trade was 29%. Again, this one massively dragged up by its winners, but for reference, this one opened at 62,800. Right now, about 8% above, which is good, but put it in perspective, 30% or almost 30% would put Bitcoin at $80,000. So, and again, this one does take an average of 45 days to play out. So we've already seen about 15 days, or we're working on the 5th. We're working actually on the 11th day right now. No, the 15th. Yes. So 45 days puts you again into third week of November, which is actually when you expect the highs of November as well. But that's a topic for another video, perhaps. So, just wrapping up my thoughts here. I think this chart gets it perfectly. Retest the median, and assuming that this is the actual move, if you are bullish, this really should be the move. You really shouldn't be expecting Bitcoin like significantly lower. If Bitcoin really comes back down below here, I think something else completely is going on. And well, I mean, it's always possible, right? I just think it's less probable right now. But more likely to test the top side of the 38.2 level than anything else. So, today might be a sideways rangy day. Again, playing out, this right here, just kind of like, hey, give me my brush. I want to draw some lines. There we go. Something like that. Might set it up for an actual attempt, perhaps later this week, early next week, something like that. And then bit of quiet times into November, and then November, after the first week should probably pick up again. So yeah, that's going to do it for today's video. I should mention that tomorrow is Wednesday. Wednesday is the first workshop of the third cohort for the crypto school, which you can sign up to for free in the link in the description below if you're looking for something like more informational as to more actionable like trading setups and whatnot. That goes over my sort of philosophy of price action. Again, it's free to join, and we do private live streams for it every Wednesday. Well, 4 Wednesdays is how many times we do it for each cohort. So yeah, things on that note. As always, want to wish you the best, and I also do a live stream just as well for this channel tomorrow morning. So that's where we'll end things for today. As always, wishing you the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow.